Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Phoenix, Arizona, it's time for Phoenix Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Hey, good afternoon. It's Karen Nowicki, CEO and President of Phoenix Business RadioX, and as you can tell, we are out about town today. We are at the SciTech Institute STEM and Innovation Summit, and we are doing brief little interviews with the folks who are really making an impact on behalf of our students and education as it relates to workforce readiness. I'd like to introduce you for this segment to Joe Rossell, who is the Community Engagement Coordinator with Laveen School District. I hope I did your last name justice.
You got it right. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thanks for being here, Joe. And with us is Jeff Gollner, CEO of STEM Sports. Welcome, Jeff.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so why are you two here? Did you attend the summit last year?
Well, I'm actually part of the SciTech Institute leadership team. I help with the Central Valley coordination, and we've really embraced what the SciTech Institute's doing, which is to bring STEM professionals into the school. So today I'll be presenting with my CSO and some of our community partners on how to create a STEM network within your district or within your organization.
Perfect. And for our listeners, CSO is a Chief Science Officer, and that's growing. I'm impressed. So the SciTech Institute sits right outside of my studio at MAC 6, and every week they're coming in and telling me more exciting news about which next country they've added another CSO team.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and Laveen, we're really walking the walk. So today I'm proud to say, even though we're doing a panel discussion, I'm just up on the panel, and my Chief Science Officer is up there telling the story and talking about how you can build your STEM network, so it's really exciting.
Perfect. And you guys were early adopters. Laveen's been part of the SciTech Institute since its inception.
We have, and one of the big reasons why we did it was because we saw that there was a gap between what the teachers learn in college and what the STEM professionals know and do. So if we're going to advocate for the STEM profession, if we're going to guide and mentor students into it, we have to make those partnerships and make that connection. So we see it as the teacher's role really to concentrate on the content, but we're reaching out to engineers, professionals to help us really understand really what the job's going to be like and how to get our students from being in 8th grade through college into their career.
Wonderful. Jeff, when I saw your name on our list and STEM Sports, I was curious. I didn't have a chance to research, but tell us who STEM Sports is and why you're here.
Yeah, you bet. So, STEM Sports, we've been involved with the SciTech Institute now for a little while. It's been a great resource for us. The CSO program is outstanding. Love talking to the students and learning from them, how we should better position what we do and how we do it. And so what we do is we take STEM and we examine STEM curriculum, but using the sport as the catalyst. We know that the attraction by students to sports is pretty popular, and there's science behind sports. And so we get behind that in a curriculum that's aligned with the next generation science standards as well as Common Core state standards, and it's classroom-ready centric, if you will, as a supplement to introduce a lot of STEM principles, but using sports.
And your background? So you're the CEO. This is I figured we were going there.
I have a long, 25-plus year career in sports and sports marketing, notably with the Arizona Diamondbacks. I was with their marketing department for the first 8 years that I was there, first 8 years of the franchise. For about 9 years I was there. And born out of that, I started a marketing agency, and quite honestly, STEM Sports came to me as a client. A good friend of mine started it almost kind of by default. Had that epiphany, that light bulb went off one day, and he's like, wait, we can really examine science and introduce that to kids, but use sports as that catalyst. And so he brought it to my marketing agency, and I loved it from the moment. I knew about it before he brought it to the marketing agency, and shortly after that, long story short, I acquired it from him about 2 years ago. And so we're really growing the business and making, I think, a really big difference for students and their STEM literacy, all the while always knowing why STEM is STEM and why it was created in the first place. And that really is to introduce students to the work, areas of occupations and jobs at an earlier age, something that would extremely have benefited me. It turned out okay that I figured out my job career about 2 months before I was graduating from college. But had I had some of that experiential opportunities before that probably would have paved my path a little bit better. So we're always very ultra focused on why STEM is STEM. It's not about STEM sports. It's really about STEM and what that means to youth and young students, and then we try to adopt it into the sports optics, if you will.
Love it. Joe, I'm curious, with the school district in Laveen, Where are the parents in this conversation? Are they involved and wanting to really encourage this critical thinking, or are we really having to teach them as much as we're teaching the kiddos? And I say Laveen only because that's your reference, but just, nationwide as it relates to education, where do we think we're at as it relates to our parents really come on board with us?
Well, that's a great question, and honestly, that's one of the reasons why we like the Chief Science Officers in the SciTech Institute, because it's not about just building capacity with kids, it's about building capacity within a community. If you take Laveen as an example, one of the things that we've been trying to do for the last couple of years is really to increase our STEM footprint. Specifically, we really wanted parents and kids to be aware of all the resources that exist within our community. One of the things that we found out was that when you talk to a student about where they want to go to school or what program they want to study, they always pick the stereotypical Ivy League school. They don't realize that we have great resources within the Phoenix metro area. So our big signature event last year was actually inviting the community colleges, universities, nonprofits, and all the surrounding resources to the Laveen School District, and having parents actually go through and see what resources exist and see what opportunities existed for their kids. So where our parents in the process, they're right alongside with us, getting feedback from them. But it's not just the Chief Science Officers in Laveen isn't just for kids or just for teachers. It really is for our community. And when I say our community, not just the parents, but also the community partners that want to engage with us as well.
Yeah, business partners, community leaders, all the way around. One of the questions when I was leading a breakout session just a bit ago with Andrew Maynard from ASU, our session was called Pardon My Science. And we were talking about critical thinking, and we were talking about the frustration that we're having that science isn't more of a concern for forefront learning. When it comes to, our standardized tests, we're still focusing on the math and the language arts and the reading ability. Where is science in that? And it's got to be that conversation. I think it's conversations like this that are across the board with business owners and educators, both private and public, and our policy leaders, everybody. We've got to all have the same conversation. Yeah,
and honestly, one of the other benefits, too, is we're actually redefining and expanding what STEM is. I think one of the bad trick, or one of the bad things that we did as a profession is we too narrowly defined what it was. So looking at companies like Magnum, companies that does metal fabrication, and letting kids know that there are different career avenues and career paths for them are important too. So looking at all the resources, all the options for our kids, and not just looking at the Honeywells or the Viasats, but everything in between.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, we're under the sports umbrella, which has actually gotten to be very broad. It's part of society. So that's one thing that kind of woke us about a year ago was, wait a minute, we're not really attributing what we do in the scope of the curriculum to a job. And so we're actually in the process of creating Volume 2, which is really exciting for us. And every lesson is going to have 5 jobs that are attributed to that lesson, so that student can really identify, oh, that's a career possibility that doesn't necessarily happen on the court or field of play. So we're also speaking to that athlete that's too young to know that the chances of them being on that court or field of play are pretty slim, and the odds are stacked against them, yet they can still work in that field. In this case, it's sports, because they must love it, and they can actually find a career and occupation in that space too. So we're really proud of that.
I love it.
Yeah. And you were talking about critical thinking. One of the things that we really focus on our Chief Science Officers program too are the soft skills, and the critical thinking really comes through with the applied projects. When I said we did the STEM pathways, everybody thinks I did it. I didn't. The kids did it. They're the ones that created the commercials. They contacted the vendors. I was there just to kind of help them out. But there's a reason why my CSO is facilitating today, and also when we presented to our own school board, the CSO spoke, because we wanted to make sure that they're developing those soft skills as well.
I love it. You both had spoke to, obviously, the career, the workforce readiness. Chandler Unified School District was on a few moments ago, and the lady that was speaking was the program director for cybersecurity. And I was like, of course, that makes sense, but it's the first year that they've done it. So we need to make sure that our kiddos get these experiences, they have the critical thinking, and to your point, that they have the opportunity to really show up and communicate effectively, because, of course, daily we're learning from them if we simply give them the opportunity. I want to thank you both for being here. These are kind of the speed rounds today so that we can get plenty of professionals in. If you could end our segment by letting folks know again one more time who you are, the company, organization, or school district in your case that you represent, and where we can find you out on the internet.
My name is Dr. Roselle. I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator for the Laveen School District, so you can find us at our laveeneld.org. I also partner with the SciTech Institute and helping out with the CSOs for the Central Valley.
Thank you again for being here.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for having me. I'm Jeff Goldner, President and CEO of STEM Sports, and you can find us at stemsports.com. We're Phoenix-based and offering our curriculum all across the country, and we're even getting a lot of interest internationally. So stemsports.com and STEM Sports USA on the social side of the equation.
Excellent. Thanks again, guys.
Thanks for having us.